Welcome viewers, I'm Jacob Tanner.
And I'm Mike Kadashnikov, and we are the co-founders of Interplanetary Technologies.
Today we're going to do some rocket science and we're going to show you how you can make your own rocket. But before we do that, we're going to get into some of the science behind rocketry. So first things first, the type of rocket we are creating today is called a solid rocket, and it features a fuel oxidizer mix and a combustion chamber in the middle. The reaction occurring is a combustion reaction, and we are using cane sugar as our fuel and potassium nitrate as our oxidizer. Now, there's no O2 in this combustion reaction because all of the oxygen required for combustion comes from the oxidizer. The products of this combustion reaction are expelled out the back of the rocket as hot exhaust, which creates thrust.
And we are working with highly flammable chemicals, and proper safety measures should be taken. Goggles should be worn, but since today we aren't working with extremely dangerous chemicals, gloves don't necessarily need to be worn, but are still recommended. A bucket of water or fire extinguisher should be kept close in case of fires.
Now, let's get into the fun part. For the rocket body, we're using 3/4 inch PVC pipe. We cut it to a length of 5 inches. 1 of those inches is going to clay, 2.5 inches is going to fuel, and 1.5 inches is also going to clay. And for each layer, we're going to pack it into the PVC pipe with a wooden dowel and a mallet. Now, you can cut it to size with a pipe cutter or however you want to do it.
For our first rocket mixture, we will be using potassium nitrate, granulated sugar, and a blender to blend both of them. Now for the potassium nitrate, we got ours online, but you can find potassium nitrate in the form of stump remover at a local hardware store. Just as long as the majority of it consists of potassium nitrate, it should work. So you'll want to take your powdered sugar and measure out 35 grams. That should work just fine. You need to blend the sugar until it is a fluffy white powder. Be sure to shake the blender and move it around so all of the sugar gets blended. Now that we have our powdered sugar mixture, we'll want to transfer it into a cup for later. So now we'll just want to measure out 65 grams of the potassium nitrate. We'll also want to blend the potassium nitrate. Now that we got our blended potassium nitrate, we'll need the sugar that we blended earlier, and we'll want to add it to the mixture. Now, because this is highly flammable, you do not want to blend it. You'll just want to lightly shake it until it's mixed well. Next, we'll want to get some kitty litter and blend it as well. This will be our clay for our rocket. And now that we've blended the cat litter, we can now move on to building the rockets.
Place a 5-inch segment of PVC pipe down on a solid surface such as concrete. Start by pouring the clay into the rocket body. You can use a funnel to make pouring easier. Push the rod down into the rocket body and compact it with a rubber mallet. When the mark on the wooden rod is lined up with the top of the PVC pipe, you are ready to add the fuel mixture. The fuel mixture can be light and fluffy, so it helps to compact it by hand before using the rubber mallet. Once the last line is lined up, you are ready to add the final layer of clay. For the last layer, you want at least 1 inch of clay, but you don't need to fill the entire 1.5 inches because of how difficult that can be. Once all the clay and fuel has been compacted, you can now move on to the next step. To finish the rocket engine, we drill a hole up to the top layer of clay. This will be our combustion chamber. Be sure to drill by hand, as this will minimize the amount of heat produced. Now, in order to test our rocket engine, we strapped it to a skateboard. Now, we got a 2x4, we got duct tape, of course, and we got our prize, the rocket engine. We're also going to be recording what what happens with a GoPro. Now, in order to top our engine off, we just need to put a fuse in it. Okay, what we're gonna do right now is we have our rocket skateboard and we're gonna send it right down that way. Now, we got the GoPro attached to it and we're gonna follow it with the camera. As you can see from testing, the sugar rocket does indeed produce thrust. If one were to improve this design, a nozzle could be added here, which would control the flow of the hot exhaust and improve overall thrust. But that is outside of the scope of this video.
Now remember, when you are working with highly flammable chemicals, you stay safe. During testing, we experienced an unintended reaction with the rocket chemistry that was left out of this video for safety. The following video shows this reaction.
Okay.